Hey team, it is with some urgency that I bring you today's bonus episode. Let's get stuck right into it.
Well, I said, welcome to a small business marketing show where successful small business owners share their souls to take your marketing straight to the lead. Now, here's your host, Mr. Timbo Reid.
And welcome back, listeners, to another episode of Australia's #1 marketing show. I'm your host, Timbo Reid. You, so much more importantly, you're a motivated business owner and you are ready to crank out some great marketing. I'm a little bit out of breath here because this is a very urgent bonus episode. Normally, if it was a normal episode, I'd say this show's brought to you by Net Registry and Key Person of Influence program, which it is, but I haven't got time for that today. You know why? Because at the other end of the phone, I have a very, very motivated business owner, in fact, an old friend of the show, and I would call him a motivated social entrepreneur. His name is Daniel Flynn. He is the founder of Thankyou. He's a man on a mission, some would say a crusade, and he has just embarked on another crazy campaign. Daniel, welcome back, mate.
Timbo, thanks for having me back on the show.
Mate, it's an absolute pleasure. I'm exhausted thinking about you, not just talking to you, the stuff you get up to. Now, mate, we've got to get into this, but in order for us to do that, you have appeared on this show twice previously, and both times you've had some really interesting things to say. I need you to put some context around what is Thankyou and where are you at in 2016?
Thanks, Timbo. Yeah, well, look, for listeners who aren't too familiar with Thankyou, so in a nutshell, we're a social enterprise, a business that gives 100% of its profits to funding aid and development programs. We have 38 products now across 3 product ranges. So we have our water range of bottled water that funds water projects.
Very non-competitive industry.
A little bit flooded, saturated, you could say. Yeah, you hear it all. So that's the water range, and then that's actually where we began. And it was a really simple concept, which was, I think bottled water is it's a dumb product, but we live in a world where there's still, 660 million people who don't have access to clean water, 4,500 kids dying every day from waterborne disease. And, at the same time, we're spending in Australia $600 million, globally $100 billion on bottled water. So simple idea. Take that consumer spending, that money that we're already chipping in, and turn that into something a little more meaningful. And so that's where we began. It's skyrocketed. So we've got a food range now with muesli bars and clusters that funds food programming. So homeless food programs in Australia and then global food programs as well. And then we have our body care range, hand wash, lotion, sanitizer, body wash. I'm assuming you used our body wash this morning, Tim.
Mate, you should smell me. So,
absolutely. I feel like I can smell you through the phone.
Yeah, awkward. Awkward. Go for it.
So that funds health and sanitation programs. So the numbers are we're in 4,000 outlets across the country. Coles, Woolies, 7-Eleven, IGAs. It's been an incredible thing to watch, and I think for myself and our other co-founders, we're so blown away just to see the consumer support. So our hand washers are ranked number 1 and 2 in the entire category at Coles. This is outselling every global competitor, even home brand. And to date, we've raised $3.7 million. That's impacted the lives of hundreds of thousands of people globally. And when we checked in last time, we were talking about a campaign called the Coles and Woolworths campaign.
So for overseas listeners, Coles and Woolworths are the biggest supermarket monoliths in Australia.
Yeah, and they've got 70% of the market. It's a really unique model globally. They kind of the duopoly. And so 2.5 years ago, we launched a little video on YouTube saying, hey, everyone, basically we've tried for 5 years to get in. Hasn't worked through traditional channels, but we're asking you to jump onto their Facebook wall, because in 2 weeks' time, we've got a meeting with them and we want them to know that you'd buy this product. And people went mental. Like, people were singing, dancing, rapping. Media got behind it. Peter and Jeff, these 2 helicopter pilots, flew their helicopters for free above the Coles and Woolworths head office for half an hour.
While you were meeting with Coles and Woolworths in the boardroom, yeah?
No, it was just before the meeting.
Yeah,
so
right.
They had these 30 by 30 metre signs, and, it was unbelievable, right? So this goes down. Coles and Woolies did the fastest new product range we've ever done. So it was like 3 hours for one of them and 5 hours for the other, and we had national ranging commitments. And then, when 14 products hit the shelf, I reckon a lot of people called it out as, Facebook hype and this won't last. Because in water, we're up against some big brands you might be familiar with, but then in body care, gosh, there's more big brands we're up against, and then in food, and so people said it's not going to last, and that was 2.5 years ago, and at that point we were 5 years in and we'd raised $500,000. So today, last 2.5 years, 3.2 million raised. Next month, another 300,000-400,000 goes out. So it's working. Double the product ranging, and we've got some exciting things just around the corner.
And let's talk about them in a minute, Dan. But there's a couple of questions. Like, one is, how do you feel when you you just flicked off that in the last couple of minutes, those achievements. You are a humble guy. I know you think, you love getting out there and you get on the public speaking circuit and all that. But, seriously, been a moment when you sat back and reflected, had a tear, someone said something that has made you stop and really consider what you guys are doing?
Good question. There's been moments where I've stopped to consider because I thought, it's really important. And I think some of those times of reflection have probably happened more overseas when we've travelled to see the programs. And
how often do you do that?
Well, it depends on the year, but maybe a couple of times a year. And we have team members that go far more than myself.
I know you're so early into it, so it's probably not even appropriate, I'm sure, to reflect. But at the same time, pretty important to celebrate the wins. How do you celebrate the wins back at head office?
That's a great question. It's a great question. Friday night we had a little gathering with all of our team, and for an hour we just went through the last 3 weeks and the wins, and we had a bit of food, chilled out, celebrated, congratulated different team members. And you know what? It's funny because about a week, 4 or 5 days ago, I was on a podcast and this guy said, "Hey, so what would you tell your younger self? What advice would you give your younger self?" And I said, well, I'd give my younger self the advice to celebrate the wins, but then I confessed, and actually I'm going to tell myself that as I drive home because I'm so stressed. I feel this pressure, and I haven't actually in the last few weeks celebrated the wins that we have had. And I think that's the biggest trap is you never stop and consider. At the same time, and maybe other business owners listening have that same feeling where it's like you always can see where you think you should be or the possibilities. And so where you are now, you end up looking at the gap rather than looking back and celebrating. And so I'm a little bit like that. So it's a bit of a flaw.
What do you do with the stress? You're the CEO or whatever you call yourself of a very burgeoning FMCG business. There must be stresses that come with that. What do you do?
Yeah. There's a couple of things. We've got a pretty long-term view, very long-term view in this, and want to be kind of built to last, not just as a company, but as a person and as a leader. And in the early days, I had no understanding of this, and so I would just burn out. I would get sick all the time, and the stress would get to me. Now there's a couple of things I do. One is just realizing that, hey, if I let this stress get to me, which it sometimes does, but if I live in that, I'm never going to be able to handle where this should go. And it's kind of this reminder of, hey, if I don't get a grip of myself now, I'm never going to be able to be that person who I think should lead this in the future. But the other thing too is, and this sounds really simple, but I take a day off a week. So it's, usually on the weekend. And when I say off,
so do most people.
Yeah, so do most people. But I take 2 days off. But there's one day in a week where when I say I'm off email. I'm off social media. We're running our biggest campaign ever, and on Sunday, day 2 of campaign, day 3, I didn't check my emails, didn't check social media, and that was hard. It was almost a game, though. It's like protect your mind. And Justine, who's our other co-founder, and we're married, right? So we live together. So it's even more important that we focus on the rest side, and that's, I think, how I handle the stress. So tomorrow is my day off. So if you're like, hey, let's do a podcast tomorrow, I'd say, Timo, could we do it Monday? Or,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I really need that day. In fact, last Sunday we missed out on 7 years. They wanted to do a feature, and I thought, man, if I do it, it'll be 2 hours. It'll be a big win, but man, I'm going to crumble.
Wow.
I can't just keep going. So we turned down what is a big opportunity. Now I hope we've got some news for them this week or next week.
Yes.
But But if you don't fight for that rest, that's what I've learned, you know.
Mate, that's so honourable, because it is. I mean, it would be so easy to say yes to some national news coverage or to whatever. But there's not going to be a day that goes by where an opportunity is not going to show itself. And,
that's it. That's it.
I love it. I love it, mate. Before we get stuck into the big campaign that you have just launched, because I think it's really important to get inside your head and understand how the hell you kind of, you manage all this stuff. You are on a crusade to end world poverty. Many would look at you in the eye and go, "Well done," and then walk away and go, "Do you hear what that guy said?" Like, let's be real here. How do you maintain the heat around that crusade? Because you must just have to look at a stat and go, well, wow, you might have raised a few $1 million, but it's going to take billions to. How do you maintain it?
Yeah, look, I'm a little bit of a numbers guy. I mean, I'm not great with detail. The co-founder Jared, he's got that sorted. But for me, I suppose I look at the numbers a bit, and that can be depressing particularly when you talk about global poverty. But I actually think it's not. So there's 1 billion people right now living in extreme poverty. It's a ridiculously big number. And a lot of people think there's not hope. But if you go back to the 1990s, that was 2 billion. So there is a real reduction happening. The global goal is for that number of 1 billion in extreme poverty to be 0 by 2030. It's ambitious, but there's a heck of a lot of people kind of working towards that. And there's a stat that just gets me. I mean, I've never really seen it written anywhere. It's just a thought I had, which was there's 1 billion people living in extreme poverty, all right? That's a fact. But there's 6 billion people who aren't. I don't know. I just look at that and I think that, we always look at the big problem, but when you look at it in light of who's not in poverty, it's like, hey, the problem's not as big as it was a second ago when I was just focused on the billion. So I have, like, the crusade that I'm on is really something that I'm part of. Thankyou as an organisation will never, in our own right, end extreme poverty, but we'll play a small and I believe significant part because 3.7 million is nothing. But what we've essentially done is we've proven a model, and it works, and it's sustainable, and it grows. And I hear of other companies like I don't know, Unilever's or these other companies. They're great companies, but their products are used 2 billion times a day. Right? So it's like, okay, cool. So it does exist. Product does exist. And maybe it's ambitious and dreamy and all that, but I look at those numbers and they kind of wake me up a bit going, I know it's already being done. It's, not quite how Thankyou plans to do it, but
they got you.
Yeah. Some days I get completely overwhelmed and I just want to stay in bed. So they're the other days.
So how do you get up? How do you not stay in bed? Like, what is that? Is there a sentence? Is there an image? Is there a moment in time that you go back to and go, well, that's getting me out of bed?
Yeah, there's a few, Timbo. There's a few. I did a walk one day with this kid, Danny, who was 15. And that was a couple of years into our journey when we were in Burundi visiting the field. And when I walked with him, it was a hot day in this part of Africa, and we're walking to get water where he used to collect water from. So he was showing me where he used to collect it. And we were talking through a translator, and it was just this really awesome, like, kid-to-kid moment. And we're laughing and kind of joking through a translator, which is hard. And I'm pretty sure he's paying me out and stuff. But we do this walk. We see where the water he used to collect. And his walk was twice a day in that heat. He sore back, sore neck. I mean, it made him sick. And there's all those sort of stories. For me, I sit there. I mean, if I'm in bed, I'm thinking, mate, I actually haven't got it that tough. Like, I don't want to get to the office because I'm scared of my email. Yeah. I'm scared of another problem today. But realistically, mate, there are kids, there are people going through a heck of a lot worse than me. And for me, that's like a come on, man, wake up. Not a guilt thing, but just a reminder, I suppose.
Hey, listeners, I'm chatting with Daniel Flynn. He's the founder of Thankyou. He's on a mission. At this point, I'd normally run some sponsor ads. Haven't got time. We're on a mission here. We're on a crusade. So thank you to Net Registry and Key Person of Influence for everything they do, for making this interview possible. Dan, you embarked on this big campaign, the next big campaign, mate, hence the urgency of getting this episode out. I'm going to get you to explain it. I am going to preface it by saying, lovingly and constructively, there's a lot of messages in here, mate, and I'm not sure which one should rise to the top. And I want to make it clear in this episode which one should rise to the top and what you want people to do. So we can pull that apart. Happy for you to kind of go, what do you mean? This is our biggest campaign.
I'm with you, man. It's our biggest and most complex campaign.
It is, buddy. So can you give us the kind of... I can't play the 8-minute video right now. I would direct people to go and look at it. What they do, Dan, to find that video?
Look, if you jump on our Facebook page, so Thankyou Oz, jump on our Facebook page. The clip's there. It's had a few views already, which is good. Or you can jump on our YouTube channel and see it there. So Thankyou Group YouTube channel, thankyou.co, our website, that'll take you everywhere. So
you know what I do? I'm going to give you some marketing tips along the way, if you don't mind, buddy.
Nah, mate, that's why I'm here.
Good. Because I would, if next time you answer that question, I'd have a URL that just redirects to that video. Because, telling someone to go to the YouTube channel or your Facebook page or your website,
it's a good call. Good call, man.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. So, like thankyouvideo.com or something like that, whatever. So... Now, mate, just tell us what the video, the 8-minute video explains this campaign. You tell us what you're trying to do.
Yeah, cool. So we're essentially trying to solve one of our greatest challenges at Thankyou, which is around scalability, right? Taking this idea to the next level. We've got the data. We know that it works. You can make profit. It's sustainable. But when organizations and businesses, and for business owners listening, want to go into a new market, so a new country, or take on a whole new category, you need to invest to do that. And so businesses will take profits and invest it. At Thankyou, our profits go out quarterly to funding our aid and development projects, or you get investors and investment in to you sell equity shares, whatever. At Thankyou, we have no shareholders, and we are owned 100% by our charitable trust, and that model's not changing. So technically, we've got a bit of a flaw in scaling, but this campaign is about going to the people. Who are the people? The people are the consumer, the people that have purchased Thankyou, the people that want to in the future, and saying, hey, what if together we could take this idea to the next level? So we've launched, it's sort of a crowdfunding campaign, and I say sort of because it breaks some of the conventions in crowdfunding. But I just spent the last year and a half, Timbo, writing a book, and the book is titled Chapter 1. That's it, Chapter 1. It's the first chapter of the Thankyou story.
Hold it in my hand. Sound effect?
Yeah. Oh, good. No, I can hear it. It sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Now, I realise we'll get to the book in a minute, but Chapter 1, the way it works is 100% of the profit from this book. Chapter 1 will fund Chapter 2, the future of Thankyou. Our message to people is simple. Buy the book, fund the future. The one-take video we did on online outlines what the future is, that we're about to launch, we hope, a baby range, so nappies and baby body care products, taking on literally one of the biggest FMCG companies in the world, but taking on a market that has a $600 million revenue in Australia. And we've come up with a game-changing concept in nappies, both disposable and reusable. So we aim to launch that. And then we launched Thankyou into New Zealand, which is the first market Thankyou's gone to as an entire concept. And look, if it works in New Zealand, hey, now we've proven that Thankyou works in 2 countries. Let's start dreaming about what's next. So really simply, buy the book, fund the future. But I think what the kind of the heart behind this project and the whole book concept is, often I read books, Simbo, sometimes by organisations or people, and sometimes they're like, whoa, that's amazing, but you're there, and I'm here sitting in my room feeling like I'll never, ever get there. I can sometimes feel like they're written so far in hindsight, and they're great books, but what we want to do with Chapter 1 is a little bit different. It's just kind of blow-by-blow account, and it says we haven't made it yet. In fact, we've literally just completed our first chapter. We dream of a second, third, fourth, fifth chapter, just like we all dream of it. And we don't know if it'll work, but we're stepping out anyway. And we want to take people on the journey with us. And I suppose as readers, we've always just been readers.
Yep.
But now you purchase this book. Yes, you're a reader, but more than that, you're a social investor. And we'll take you $20 or maybe more, and we'll invest that into an idea and together go on to get that one step closer to ending extreme poverty.
So let me summarise all that because I watched that video. I watched the video a number of times just to get the view rate up, mate. So, but I was interested each time.
Appreciate it.
The messages I'm taking are: you've got a new book. It's called Chapter 1, and the book is your vehicle for saying, "Hey, people, buy it off us. You can buy it for $1. You can buy it for $10,000, but buy it off us because that money is going to go 100% towards ending poverty and taking Thankyou to the next level. And the next level, from what I understand, is that you're opening up in New Zealand and you are opening up Thankyou baby range and a new nappy SKU. Yeah. So you've got some messages there. You're on the way to ending global poverty. You also talk about you've got a free warehouse out at Essendon Airport, which is fantastic. You have got one thing I was trying to get. So there's a lot of messages there, right? Of all the things that you want people to do, Daniel, in that 8-minute video, is it to buy the book?
Yeah. So buy the book and share this message. And there's some things around awareness too, around, people see this clip, they go, oh, cool, Thankyou's going to move into baby, or Thankyou's going to move into New Zealand. So there's some kind of, flow-on effect from the clip itself. But put simply, buy the book, fund the future. And you mentioned 10 grand, which I'm assuming is your commitment, Timbo. We haven't explained that to the viewers, but essentially the book does challenge a few conventions in books, which we might get to.
Go. Well, it does, because you're very good at this. You're very good at challenging the status quo. Like, just because it's always been done that way doesn't mean it has to be done that way, and you challenge it often for good reason. So how have you done it this time?
Okay, so that's the greatest thing we've ever learned at Thankyou. To get results that no one's got before, you've got to challenge traditional thinking, and this book is no different. So it launches with no RRP. It's a pay-what-you-want price. Mm-hmm. You pay $1, $10, $100. I mean, you said 10 grand, which I love. So it's literally about not how much you want to pay for a book, how much you want to invest into the future of an idea, right? Mm-hmm. So we launched that online on our online store, which is safe, thankyou.co. Well, when I say safe, it's still a risk, but it's not too risky. But it also was launched in every airport in Australia and New Zealand at Relay, Newslink and Watermark at a pay-what-you-want price, which is a bookshop first.
How?
Well, it's a really good question. How do I answer that, Jimbo? I mean, it's a beta.
Well, you explained it in the book. It sounds very simple.
Yeah.
Let me explain it. You're presenting to these guys who are responsible for distribution, and one of them, and you've gone, we really want it to have no recommended retail price. We want people to pay. One guy says, our systems aren't set up for that. The other guy kind of whispers, champ, come on, think laterally. And they find a way.
And when we sat in that meeting, and that was one of my favourite meetings probably in 7.5 years, because we're new to the book market, obviously, but we sat in the meeting, we showed them, I didn't even have the book ready. So I just had my diary, and I showed it, and then we flipped it sideways, because another convention we've broken is this book is written spine at the top, and the text is written landscape, essentially the wrong way. And I'm explaining to them, guys, we've done our research. There's no book globally that's ever worked in this format. There's no bestseller, but we're challenging convention, and we talked about the benefits of that and how it challenges the reader to think different, and we've got all this research that's going to be amazing. And they're like shaking their heads, and then we said, pay what you want. And that moment happened. And I sat there thinking, Shane's words were to his mate, if we're going to change the game, we're going to have to think different. I'm sitting there going, mate, I've spent 1.5 years writing this book. You haven't even read one word yet, but you just got the whole point. So he did a national ranging, and of their 36,000 books a year they get pitched to them, they give one book front of store placement, 1 to 2 books per year, and they put it at the front of the store, and usually there's about eight titles at the front, but they'll clear them, put one there for 1 month, and they gave it to Chapter 1, which blows my mind.
That's
it blows my mind. The last book that got that was Grey something, 50 something. But anyway, it was a different, bit of a different take, bit of a different book.
I think it was a bloke's book. It was 50 Shades of Grey, I think it was called.
So the content of Chapter 1's a little bit different. But to see that happen kind of showed me the benefits of challenging, the kind of the traditional thinking and inspiring people to jump on that kind of journey with you. And we're a week in, but gosh, the results have been a little staggering.
Have they? What are they?
So, look, the campaign itself, the videos had 360 or 70,000 views. People jumped online, bought the book. we've raised.
Can you explain that? Hold the thought about the stats, because you've had 11. As I look at YouTube today, you've had, I think it's 12,000 views. Is the balance? This is a similar story to Squatty Potty, which is an interview I did recently. He's had 65 million views, of which 50 came from Facebook. The other is YouTube. Is that the same with you?
We put the video on YouTube and we emailed that to a few people, but we launched it on Facebook video, which is interesting. I mean, there's a lot of debate about it before we launched. And look, the challenge is in future people will look back and go, oh, yeah, okay, so the YouTube video did all right, got a few views. But in reality, it's gone mental on Facebook. It's had over 10,000 or 9,500 shares on Facebook and 370,000 views. Now, the quality of the view isn't as good as the view on YouTube. But in terms of virality and the ability to spread quickly, it's awesome.
What do you mean the quality? Did you say the quality of the view or the viewer?
The quality of the view. So I'm talking statistically speaking. So because what can happen on YouTube, I mean, if you go down, Facebook, if you go down your Facebook feed and the video plays,
it's a view.
Yeah, I think I don't know the numbers off. Is it 11 seconds? There's a certain number of seconds before it counts as a view. But essentially, you could almost, if someone was scrolling really slow, it might count as a view, but not an actual view. Yeah,
interesting.
So the numbers are always going to be skewed a bit bigger, but look, the reality is it's the most successful video we've ever launched, regardless. Yeah, based on...
Is it really? That really surprises me, Daniel. I'll say that, because I think your previous one was fantastic. This one's 8 minutes. It's amazing. Like, listeners, you got to see it, because I mean, Daniel does this 8 minute video in one take. It's nuts. He's a performer, so he knows he knows how to do that stuff, but still not easy. But wow, you're most successful video.
We're a week in, and we had some stats around. We wanted to hit 100,000 views on Facebook, because we've done Facebook videos before that haven't really, got much traction. So I think we had that in the first 24 hours. And, if you see it on our Facebook page, it's going nuts. And people can still share it, please do.
Yeah, totally. And so, numbers, how many books sold, how much raised?
Let's talk about that. Now, as we're speaking, Timbo, I'm walking over to the screen in the warehouse to see it, just to give you the latest number. But what I've also committed to is, until we've raised 1.2 million, which is our target, how much profit we need to launch the future. I'm stuck in this warehouse packing books 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And right now we are at $548,000 of profit raised from the book, 13,000 books sold. Right. Now that's our online sales. The store data sales won't get built in till the end of I think this next week. So when we get our official results in, that we can add on to that. But at a store level, so this is for Relay News Inc. and Watermark, the feedback we got is that the sales in store, they've gone okay. They're second in sales to only one other book launch, which was Harry Potter. Yeah,
Harry.
Myself,
I think I know it.
So that's really, 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 really been remarkable.
Can I just get that clear? Second in sales to Harry Potter
in launch
is what the bookstore's reporting back.
Well, we're still in launch. Like, we're only 6 days in sales now, 7. It's a very big stat. So the way it's been put to us over email and that we can share and post out there is, it's second to Harry Potter. It's a great question. I'll ask which Harry Potter, but essentially the other way to look at it is if you named another book that wasn't Harry Potter, it's gone well. So look, the goal for us isn't to just have a book that sells really fast, but it shows that the campaign's working. We printed 80,000, Timbo.
How many books are you printed?
A little bit ambitious, but
I had 2,000 of my books delivered yesterday. That's a lot. You've just had 80,000 delivered, and you've got them in some kind soul has given you a free airplane hangar out at Essendon Airport. Is that my understanding?
Yeah. So Essendon Airport, they've got an old warehouse, and we're in here, and it's actually where we shot the video as well. So the video was shot in here, and we've got books like galore. We've got people packing. We've had volunteers come down, join us. We have a live feed set up, and people are asking questions online. We're answering questions about how this campaign works, because it's not the most simple and straightforward one. But you know what's probably blown me away the most?
The paper cuts?
Other than packing books with people, which has just been fun. It's just seeing Yeah, the paper timber. I'm not a hands-on man, but now I've got paper cuts, and it's 30. It was 40 degrees in here the other day. There's no aircon.
Darling. What has blown at you away the most?
I think seeing people's response to the book from there's the campaign, hey guys, help fund the future, and that's one mechanic of this, but the year and a half, 2 years that went into building this book, or making it. I didn't build the book, I just wrote it. But
even writing it.
It was around kind of hopefully inspiring other people, and just and we know that at Thankyou we haven't learned everything. There's a few things we've learned. They're in this book. This is a tool for businesses. And we're seeing businesses order. Like I'm looking at some pallets, a couple of hundred books out to Xero, 1,200 out to Optus.
Unreal.
Like these businesses want, like, and they've had samples and they've had a read, and now they're putting orders through. And I had an order text in the other night for 800 books for a property conference, and guy wants to give it to everyone in there, and he's bought 30 grand's worth. And
nice.
It's seeing people going, hey, there's some really good content in here, which was always the hope. And you can't measure this in a campaign, right? Well, I mean, we can measure our stats and our dollars and all that, but you can never measure what this could do for other people and getting them to think about the world and their business and changing and challenging things. And so that you can't measure that stuff, but hearing it and seeing it on social and some of the response, people's posts and what they're saying is super exciting, super humbling, and we hope
totally.
Yeah, that's something pretty cool.
And I've got to say, look, as I said at the start, I'm 50 pages in. I didn't have time to read the whole thing before this interview because I want to get it out. But it is a good book. I am enjoying it. It's not here's how we started and this is what we did. There is business inspiration in there. Dan, $1.2 million is what you're trying to raise.
Yeah.
It seems chicken feed to me, and that sounds like, wow, how dare he say that? But if you are wanting to take Thankyou to the next level, open up in New Zealand, launch Thankyou Baby, solve world poverty, $1.2 million, that's pocket change, isn't it?
Yeah, it is pocket change. Now, I'm glad you're saying that, because some people are like, $1.2 million, you guys are nuts. How do you ever get that?
Really?
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, in a book, well, particularly through a book, I mean...
Well, through a book, yeah, but it's bigger than that. But yeah, what are you going to do with it, mate? Go and fill up the fridge?
Fill up the fridge, mate. We are... One of our kind of key focuses and maybe values has been around resourcefulness. So when you see that video online that got shot, I think in total we spent, it was just on 13,000 total for that video, which other people come forward just going, oh, no, that'd be 60, that'd be 100, that'd be 200. And you could spend all of those things. But when you're resourceful, I mean, if you come down to the warehouse, volunteer and pack, you walk around, you'll see the set. Like, we built this by hand. We painted stuff. We cut stuff. When you get resourceful, you don't need as much money as you think you do. Now, if we had 12 million, we'd probably spend it, but we've kind of gone, but what could we pull this off with? And that 1.2 million mark is the number. It means we've got a heck of a lot of work cut out for us to actually invest that properly. Where
are you going to spend it? I mean, don't go through the whole, budget, but what's the number one thing you're going to spend 1.2 on?
Well, it's split pretty much 50-50 New Zealand and then Baby. So, and they're both different. So for Baby, there's some costs around commercializing the product. So when you take it from concept to commercial, like a commercial product ready for grocery, there's a couple of entry costs to grocery, which are, I don't want to comment too much that they're annoying, but I think they're very annoying. But
man, that's like right now.
Yeah.
Woolworths, Coles, 7-Eleven, IGA, get over it. This is Thankyou, and you want Thankyou to pay large amounts of money to have the right to be on your shelves. Yeah. Get on with it, team.
I know, mate. I know. And but the reality of
you can't say that.
No, I know, but I'm glad you did. So let's pump that out on the networks. But it is a tough one. We always push for lower fees and lower.
It's disgusting.
There are real costs. So there's a part of that. But then also there's the marketing launch of it. So in Baby, we're taking on a few people. Some are spending, I think, $10 million a year on marketing, and that's a lot of money. Now, we'll have our own sort of nappy baby launch campaign that will be, funding we'll need for that, and sort of the first probably 6 months of the marketing of that range. And there's probably one or two extra staff roles I need to look at. But New Zealand's a bit different in itself because that is a startup of a new country.
Dan, you break the rules. Why wouldn't you, again, 1.2 million split between Baby and New Zealand, not a lot of dough. You said there's a need for a marketing campaign inside that budget. If you thought, I just had an idea, would you crowdsource a guerrilla marketing idea? Because you're good. What I love about Thankyou is you're brave. You take risks. You challenge conventions. Conventionally, a marketing campaign, sit around the boardroom table, say, what are we going to do, fellas? Let's do something crazy. And you generally come up with something crazy. But if you actually thought about putting it out to your tribe, which you now have, and maybe you need to be selective and put it out to the tribe of advertising agencies in Australia or the world, I don't know, but say, give us your best guerrilla marketing idea that's going to get us noticed.
Yeah, and look, you know what? I might write that down too, Bo, because
Thank you very much.
I think that for this to work with small budgets, it'll take some pretty creative things and to pull this off.
I just think I speak to so many marketers, and generally the criteria for getting on the show is you've got to be a good marketer because, and they are, but. Boy, oh boy, when I see people break the rules. And, I had a chat with a fellow, what's his name? Arthur Greeno from Chick-fil-A. It's like a KFC franchise in the States. He talks about remarkable marketing, and he's already broken 2 Guinness Book of World Records in the spirit of getting exposure. He did silly things like, he heard a customer one day say in one of his franchises, I love Chick-fil-A so much I could marry it. Stupid thing to say. Yeah. But, of course, Arthur organises a wedding, right, for this guy to marry, so, I love it. I just love it. And like you do, you've got all the ducks in a row to have that courage and go and really do some, world's best guerrilla marketing and get this puppy noticed beyond an 8-minute video, beyond a book, beyond, anyway, you know what I'm saying. I'd encourage you to do it.
And look, part of this campaign, and this is the bit that, the marketers will pick up. But when you launch a product range, essentially what we've just done is we've just pre-launched a product range. So when you watch the video, you'll see this baby set, you'll see the nappy products. Now, the risk we took, and it's a huge risk in doing that, is we've just let all of our competitors know, hey, we're hopefully coming to this category. Because remember, so that in itself is pre-launch, I had a few people pretty stressed from an advisory perspective around that. But you know what's happened? It's already working. We are seeing the blogosphere for mummy bloggers posting screenshots to literally hundreds of thousands of people. And then the comments are coming back going, oh my gosh, if that's what they look like. One mum I read, I'm not sure how we're going to action this, but off your last comment, she's like, oh my goodness, monochromatic nappies, like the monochrome design. She goes, I'm getting clucky again. So that's cool. She wants to have kids again. We should probably interview her and see if she'll be up for kids for the nappy. That's probably what you're dreaming of. But
I'm not saying anything. Mate, you are creating so much potential. It's exciting. I'm embarrassed that I've kept you for 37 minutes or so. You've got books to pack and the world to save, mate. So, look, just, big ups to you, buddy. And, anything this show can do to help, as always, we're willing to do. What do people need to do, mate? They need to go to...
Thankyou.co. That's it. Thankyou.co. If you really want to be ambitious, /chapter 1, but you'll figure it out at thankyou.co, our website. Everything's there. Videos there. You can purchase a book. You can pay what you want. I'll pack it today and we'll ship it out ASAP to you. And help spread the word and join the community.
Mate, I'm going to ring you in a few weeks' time like I did last time on the show, just out of the blue to get a quick check-in. Yep. But all the best with it, Daniel, and good on you, buddy.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it, Timbo.
Just get on board. That's all I got to say. You know what Daniel's doing. You know how to do it. This is an episode I want to get out into the marketplace real quick. Help in any way you can. Until next time, may your marketing be the best marketing. Bye for now.